how does this continue to happen at the biggest, arguably, the companies that should be thinking about this kind of problem the most?
Well, Corey, the big problem here is that hackers see a lot of value in all of this kind of data. So, whether it's health data, whether it's financial data, regardless of the nature of the information, they're after it for a lot of different reasons, and they're highly skilled. They're highly motivated actors. And as you saw here, they got a lot of data. They got 80 million potentially Social Security numbers on people, and that's the worst kind of data you can get about someone. That opens the door for so much future criminal hacking, and the hackers wanted it badly enough, and they got it.
Look, and Jordan, to tie that with income, they can source through this and decide exactly which people they want to target, the ones who've got the most money, right?
The income is an interesting aspect of this here, because that's a sensitive detail as well, just like your health information. And certainly there's a strong correlation there between folks that you would like to target for financial fraud and those folks making the most money. It's going to be a lot easier to pull some really big lines of credit on those folks.
Michael, since Anthem isn't here, can I blame you? I mean, your job, I guess, is to try to help companies to not suffer from this kind of attack, particularly a company whose main job is collecting sensitive information about its customers. Why does this continue to happen?
Yeah, well, you can't blame me. I have no involvement in Anthem at all. I think this continues to happen for several reasons. I think, one is the systems that people are putting in place are very large, and very complex, and very interdependent. And as we see in this breach and some of the retail breaches, these people are sitting on huge amounts of data, millions and millions and millions of customers, and they're just a very target-rich environment for the bad guys, and they want to go after this data, and they're going to work at it very, very hard to get it.
So to what end, Michael? I mean, if you can't, look, complexity is going to be there. Things aren't going to get less complex as the data that governs us all becomes greater. We can handle more data. We're going to get more data. We're going to have more complex systems. So what do? Do you have to not worry about the hack? You have to worry about what they do with the information?
Yeah, you do, and I think this information in particular, has already been discussed, is very valuable information, right? I mean, credit cards is what people become used to having stolen. That impact on consumers can be very little. Here we really see a rich data set about individuals that can be used by criminals to create false identities, to conduct identity theft, to do other kinds of things. And in the cybercrime realm, this data is actually valuable, and it's worth money. And having millions of these records is something that they can sell, and they can sell these large number of records on the black market, and people will try to monetize them in different kinds of ways, of course. But that's how it will be distributed. It will be sold in bulk.
Jordan, when North Korea allegedly attacked Sony Pictures, we know what they wanted. They wanted to stop the release of a movie, which they failed at, or maybe succeeded at. They wanted to target the executives. Now Amy Pascal's been fired at Sony, so they got what they wanted, perhaps. What do these hackers want?
Well, it's unclear. It's a question that Anthem is looking at very closely. But I will say one thing. I mean, what we know they wanted was a lot of information. We don't know exactly what they wanted to do with it. But what we do know is that they wanted a whole lot of it, and they wanted to keep their options open. And this is pretty standard for hacking attacks, where if you have access, if you have access to a company that has not segmented its data center properly, and an individual or a small group of individuals has access to 80 million Social Security numbers, you're going to take all of it and sort it out later. And some of the tools indicate that these were, possibly state-sponsored attackers, sophisticated attackers. But we really don't know what they want to do with the data. We just know they wanted a whole lot of it.
Yeah, really quickly, Jordan. I mean, the line between state-sponsored and criminal in all aspects, particularly in Russia and beyond, is sort of hard to distinguish, right?
Yeah, and there's a very interesting dynamic at play here as well, where we've seen cases where nation-state attackers, espionage-based attackers, will be inside systems, and they'll see a bunch of data that they can sell on the criminal underground, and they'll just take it. So is that a nation-state attack? Well, these were individuals who tried to take a little bit off the top, and so it's very, very hard to tell. Without intercepts and NSA intelligence or whatever, what the motivation of these attackers ultimately will be.